Well, hi everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and we're live on a Friday lunchtime, which means that it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And the number one feeling I had this week was I was going backwards, not forwards. I wonder if you've ever had a week like that. I'm going to be talking a lot more about that in a second. But in the meantime, a very warm welcome to you all. Hi there, Jeannie. Good to see you. And um, for those of you who don't know, Dear Mama Sal is not just me. It's a group of us that get together a couple of times a week. And it's really interesting because we sort of live our lives through each other. In other words, we know that we're going to have ups and downs and all sorts of things are going to happen. But somehow or other, when you do it and can see other people are having the same issues, that it's just life. Makes it so much easier to be able to cope, and that is our number one goal, is to help you cope. So if you're not a subscriber, please become one, and don't forget to push on the bell so that'll advise you when we're about to do a broadcast. Um, it's been quite the week. So first of all, I'd like to say that it's not just about going backwards in a goal. It's like in life or in just like anything around you. And I want you to be aware that it's quite normal. Now, I know that Jody will relate to this, and maybe some other viewers will as well. But I saw a quote, and it says, "My day starts backwards. I wake up tired, and I go to bed wide awake." And all our quotes today are going to be, um, it's going to be sort of a mix of and hopefully um, we will be able to get some of you smiling along the way, and that you will be able to relate to it. Um, I hope you've had a good week. If we're going to be doing, I don't think I've got any birthdays this week, so if um, you had one, or if you um, had an important celebration, please let me know. I've got a couple of comments going on about the top. You saw this one last year, guys, but thank you. It's the spring wardrobe is out. However, I have not put all the winter away because guess what? I had to put the fireplace back on. So there's no way I'm going to be doing um, too much of. I've started putting the winter stuff into boxes, cubies, so that I can get to them in a hurry if I need to. They're not under the bed or anything. They're in what I call a temporary holding pattern, if any of you relate to that one. So, um, I just want to tell you that we've just had an incredible time of it all over, really. And I just want to get this quote up for you that I found. It says, "Sometimes you need to move backward to move forward." Do any of you feel like that? Remember, the arrow needs to be drawn back in order to go ahead first. Does that make sense? Sometimes we need to go back and relook at stuff or deal with stuff here before we can really spring forward. Yeah, Jodie's saying all her clothes are in a large tote. All the seasons live together. Yeah, well, I must admit, I've got way too many clothes. But, there's one thing I remember Beth, those of you who know Beth, remember Beth saying, which was that she cut her wardrobe down to sort of like 7 outfits for work. So that every day she wore one, because she basically worked 7 days a week. But, that she never had to think. She just rotated them. Now, to me, there needs to be less than 7 because you wouldn't want to keep wearing the same thing on Mondays, right? Just my feeling. So when I look at this week, and you have to know that there's part of me that doesn't want to look at this week, it's been really weird. It's been really weird. But before we start, I wanted to give you my tip for the day. And that is, have any of you have need for a weed killer? Did you know that baking soda mixed with water and dish soap works really well for killing weeds? And I've got a feeling that most of us have got, can probably buy baking soda in bulk. And it certainly is preferable to a lot of the toxic stuff. So I thought I would just mention that. I haven't tried it yet this year, but I'm going to. Now, one of the, I had an oops moment this week. Many of them, actually. I had an oops moment this week when I I went to get something out of my hold all that I've got a large size. Let me show you. It's easy. I don't know. It takes too much time. Anyway, I've got a large hold all that I take with me when I go out, and I needed something from there this week. And when I was digging in there to try and get the thing I was looking for, I found a takeaway box with leftover Easter dinner in it. I guess I haven't been into there for quite a while. I don't know about you, but I burst out laughing, and I was very grateful. For some reason, it didn't go moldy. But it was just like I missed out on a beautiful helping of extra turkey and all the trimmings. I was very sad about that, but I hope that makes some of you smile. In terms of going backwards, let me just tell you that I don't know whatever I touched this week seemed to go in the wrong direction. And there's a quote here that says, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. But, I was moving backwards whether I wanted to or not. And the issue that I wanted to say is it doesn't matter whether this is about a goal or about your life or about a feeling, all right? Sometimes you definitely need to go a little bit backwards to be able to see what you're missing. What the farther, I think it was Winston Churchill who said, the farther back you can go, you can look, the farther ahead you can look, all right? So here I was, with my incredible to-do list for the week. And I want to tell you what happened. I hope you're prepared to laugh. And if any of you relate to any of these, please let me know so that I feel a bit better. First of all, I decided to spring clean a little bit by emptying out not one, but two deep drawers. I've got these very deep drawers in my kitchen. Some of them are sort of like this deep. And so there were a couple of them that I decided I would clean. So the way that I do it is I take everything out and then I get it into sort of sections and purge, and then decide what I want to keep, what I need to purge, and clean the drawer and everything and put everything back. So one of them was this drawer that I have here, which contains everything from, by the way I contained everything was in Ziploc bags. And this is all about strainer lids and tops and things like that, right? And then I've got another one here that is about my pineapple slicer, my banana, stuff like that. Then I got 2 lots for baking bits, not bacon, baking bits. Things like and foods like corn of the cob holders and stuff like that. Then I got small silicone molds, and you will notice that I am now putting them in a plastic bag so I can keep them going upwards rather than spreading this way. You'd be amazed how much extra room you have. So I ended up with probably what looks like half a drawer. There's room for lots more in there. This other one I did was the one that I keep to my left. Don't know if you can see it if I open it. Maybe you can see that one. Yes, okay. So that drawer there, what I have in it, the regular casserole dishes, I keep my onions and potatoes in there for some reason. And I keep the little gizmo stuff that I use in the air fryer. That being the air fryer. And then my face cloths. Now, the reason I'm telling you the story is, did I do this on Monday when I would have all week to sort out the mess, clean up nicely, because you've got to wipe everything, wipe down the drawer and then wipe down everything you put back, right? No, I decided to do this on a Thursday. Like yesterday, when I knew I was under pressure to get the broadcast put together and do all sorts of other things. Not intelligent. And Jody, I love this quote. Sorry, I did stall here, but I had to read what Jody said. She said, "When I say I'd like to move to an island, it's not the Caribbean. It's Sal's Kitchen, the one in Sal's Kitchen. I love that thing. I want to say I love this thing too. And I'm. Would you like to know how long it? Hang on a second. By the way, it was a major selling point for me for the house. It is. It is 6.5 feet long. Imagine that. Don't know how tall Lionel is, but you get the idea. By just over 3 foot 2 inches wide. And I want to tell you, when I came to look at the house and when we were discussing it, I stood here, literally where you see me now. I stood here and talked to the realtors on the other side and said, oh my gosh, it feels so comfortable just standing here. And I know when people come over to eat, I don't use the dining room table. They sit the other side of this bar stool and I stand here and they get upset because I'm not sitting down. I said, hey, I don't know why it's really comfortable for me. This is my place. And I knew at the moment that I came here to look at the house and I went, okay, I really like this kitchen. The kitchen was definitely a major selling thing. So can you see that doing something like emptying 2 drawers on a Thursday was a self-inflicted wound? Can you see that? But on the other hand, was it actually, and I'm trying to always look at both sides of every story, right? On the other hand, was it quite a smart thing to do? Why? Because it had to be cleaned up by today, all right? And so in a way, although it was stupid, it was actually quite smart. Because what did I know? I would purge it very quickly. I would get everything into categories very quickly, and I would get it cleaned and back in much more quickly than if I'd done it on a Monday. Therefore, maybe it wasn't so much going backwards. Maybe it was a good plan. Then I went to weigh myself. I wonder, and I just want to tell you something that Jody told me once. I think Jody and I have got the same scale, because every now and then when you stand on it, it says low. And Jody's question to me was, why does it say low when I stand on it? And then when I put in new batteries, it says I've put on weight. Which tells you, and for those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin. So I have to have a go at her every now and then because she's so useful. Anyway, but Jody, I wanted to tell you, I stood on it and it said low and I went, hi, Jody. I always think of you now when it tells me that. And I sort of turned the thing upside down and then when, all I wanted to do was quickly weigh myself, right? So then I went to grab some new ones. And then so that was a step backwards, right? I couldn't immediately do it. I went to grab some new ones, and then I remembered that even though they are new, that doesn't necessarily mean they're fully charged because all my batteries are rechargeable. And so what I did was I stuck it in my recharging unit, which, by the way, I love. And the funny thing was, none of the batteries, although they were all new-ish, had a full charge in them. So then I had to wait for them to top up. So that leaves me more time to get distracted. Do any of you relate to that one? It's like, what am I going to do while those batteries? So that stays on my list. I'm trying to. I'm already 2 steps away from where I was. I was trying to do something when I thought, no, I need to weigh myself. Then I got stuck with the distraction of I can't weigh myself because then batteries aren't charged. And then I got to charge you understand, I'm about 3 steps back now. Do any of you relate to this? And by the way, it took a couple of hours to recharge them, so I'm glad I did it. It was actually a good thing that I spent the time because otherwise it would have been telling me I was low again pretty soon. And then I thought, which you understand is always a bit dangerous around here, um, while I'm charging those, what else needs new batteries? Do any of you relate to this? I now gave myself another step down. Here I was up here. Oh, while I'm doing this task, I can't remember what it was, but let me just quickly weigh myself. Here was the task, weigh myself, battery charge, and now what else needs batteries? Can you see how far backwards I've gone? This still isn't getting done because I'm busy faffing around down here. Well, then I got out 2 motion detectors that needed new batteries. But, so not a bad idea. I mean, I hope some of you are relating to this. Then I went to get into the DearMamaSal website. And as you will hear in a moment, I have recently updated my credit card. I didn't know that it would also affect my website for some reason, which it did. And I couldn't get into my website. So here I am. Let me weigh myself, batteries, never mind. I will go up here to thing number 2 now and let me try and work on that, right? And so now I can't get into my own website. I mean, that's very frustrating. So it took me about another hour to get that sorted out so I could get back in. But I did manage that, so that was good. Oh gosh, I want to tell you something. There are times when I wonder about myself, and there are times when I just know I'm an idiot. All right, so here's a nice quote. It says, "No one wins at chess by only moving forward. Sometimes you have to move backward to put yourself in a position to win." That is a good metaphor for life, too. So can any of you who are watching now, or maybe in the replay, you can leave me a comment or two, um, you know, can you think of times where you were forced to go backwards or you were forced to slow down instead of charging ahead into something where it turned out to be to your benefit? And one of the things I've learned in life is that if ever I am in a hurry to get somewhere and I get to the car, maybe it doesn't start, or, I get to the car and suddenly I realize I have forgotten to get something and I waste time because I have to get back to the house to pick it up. Hi, Carrie. Good to see you, honey. Any updates? Really good. For those who don't know, Carrie is a viewer from way back when. So no problem, Joe. And so that's so exciting. So when you look at things, I think about when I get distracted like that, when I'm trying to get into the car and something delays me, I always try to remember, what am I being protected from? In other words, if I had left at the time I was meant to, when I've ended up in an accident, if I had left at the time I intended, would I have got caught in a traffic jam or something, And so I like to think that whenever I get delayed like that maybe there is a good reason for it. I don't necessarily like it at the time, but I like to think of it as a good thing. So, then I went to take my blood sugar. Now that's a pretty darn easy thing to do, right? You pick up the little gizmo, you poke your finger, and take your blood sugar reading. Yeah, that wouldn't go well either, because when I went to turn on the unit that I plug the testing strip into, my machine was dead, which means the batteries had gone. Yeah, Jeannie's saying she agrees the delays may be a way of helping us. Yes, good. And so, anyway, so I went to turn it on, and I thought, well, maybe, the tester is 4 years old. Maybe this is an indication that it's time to get a new one. And I thought, yeah, that's a good idea. And then my brain did a little recap and went, you just spent $200 getting supplies for the year for this one. Get the batteries. Now that came up as an interesting thing, and I don't know if any of you have noticed this, but I decided to go and shop in my own house before I went to shop anywhere else, and I did find the right batteries in my battery storage. And what I found interesting, and I didn't realize it, I had picked them up at a dollar store. Now, the price on it, I think, was $1.50 Canadian, which was pretty amazing, because for the same amount, or I think one more, it was like $8 or $9 at Amazon. So I'm really glad I shopped in my own shop first. So you got Carrie, what are you doing these days? She says she's enjoying her day off, and I'm pleased to hear that. It's just so great to see you. So then I mentioned that I I don't know if I mentioned, but I got a new modem this week, yet another. And so this one is supposed to be top of the line. How many times was I told that? So I said to Alan, the techie that came to do it all for me, I said, you'll forgive me if I roll my eyes, but everybody that's been in here and given me a new modem has told me this is the top of the line one. And you're now telling me the one that you put in less than 6 months ago is state of the art. So you'll forgive me if I smile. It's just like, however, this one definitely even looked like it was a kick-ass one. Yeah, it's twice the size, and it is a modem and router all in one. Yay. So now I don't have to worry. It's the thing now. It's no longer a router or a modem, because it's the thing, the control center, right? And the interesting thing was that how did I get that after I've been asking for, a really good one for 4 years? And all the time they keep giving me these pathetic ones. But I said, I really need a good one. Why? My life depends on it, right? I've got an emergency necklace. Where is the most likely place for me to fall? It'd be in my bathroom. Guess what? I had spotty, sometimes no Wi-Fi in my bathroom. The one place where, one of the places I could really need it. So I said, this is no longer just keeping me happy as a client. This is about my life could be on the line if you guys don't smarten up. And so, so then I just said to I had so many people call me. No. Nice thing was, in December, my contract expired, right? And the interesting thing was that they kept saying to me, they're going to give me this deal and this deal, to renew. And I said, no, I don't want to renew yet. I'm really, after 30 something years, I am seriously thinking of now changing my provider. And therefore I need to give myself time to think about this, and to weigh up my options and do some thinking. And so then, I'm not joking, about once a week anyway, somebody was calling me to say, can we help you with the upgrade contract? No, thank you. And then we're now into April. And suddenly I didn't get a man that I couldn't understand. Suddenly I got a woman who still had a very strong accent, and it wasn't mine. Um, but I said, you know something? You guys are calling me all the time, and I have decided not to renew my contract. And she said, may I ask why? I said, absolutely. Look at my history if you care to, and you will see for 4 years I've been complaining about the quality of the signal. And I said, why do I keep paying good money for a signal that doesn't get to me? Or when it does, it drops out 3 or 4 times, sometimes in an hour. Never mind in a day, but it's constantly dropping out. And I said, and I cannot be in my bathroom and get a signal. And that is, and I explained it all to her, why that was a health problem for me or a life problem for me. And funnily enough, she listened. And she appeared to genuinely care about that. And she said, well, then it's pretty obvious that we need to give you the best that we've got. I said, that would keep me. All right. That would make me consider taking a contract. But I said, every one that you've given me, I was told it was the best that you've got, and it wasn't true. And she said, no. I'm not saying an upgrade. I'm saying the best that we have needs to come to you. I said, well, if I could get the best that you have, I would consider renewing my contract. And so that was the good news, right? So I thought I was going forward. But how many of you know what happens when you get a new modem router? Actually, the modem. What happens when you get a new modem? Any of you have one recently? Because they come with problems. And let me tell you, so instead of going forward that day after it all been installed, by the way, while the Tiki was there, I got him to do all sorts of things for me. I got him to reconnect I've got what do you call it? A projector, so that I can project things onto my wall if I want to, which is very useful if I want to do a yoga or something. I can project it onto my wall. I don't have to be trying to do yoga and watch something. I can see it on the wall. So Jody's saying you have to reconnect everything. Now this is the time when you go, okay, that's not too bad. A couple of computers, a tablet, my phone's already connected because the techie did that. So not a problem. But it's not just that. Okay, I had forgotten things like a printer, which is Wi-Fi. That needed to be reset. How about a doorbell? If any of you got a Ring doorbell, that had to be reset. And this is at the same month that my credit card got renewed, which is a good thing. But instead of going forwards, you have to go way back and think about all the different accounts you've got that you've got your credit card linked to. And in my case, I don't know about you guys, but I got way too many. I've got Amazon, Wish, Temu. Then you've got things like YouTube and, stuff like that. And then the saga continued because I went to go and watch something on streaming. Yeah, Roku needs your credit card update as well. And so the extra streaming channels like BritBox and then I decided I was going to do. Never mind. It's stressful. Yes, Jody, I agree. And then I go, okay, I'll relax. I'll do some yoga. Well, guess what? I went to get on YouTube streaming, and YouTube doesn't want to know me either. I got to reset my, get into with my YouTube password. And it's then that I realized I got a very complicated password for these various things. And each time I'm trying to do it like this, and it's just like, really? Can I just get on with my day? So this is all in 1 week, people. So then Hang on, there's more. Um, just gonna get to what's more. Oh, and uh, and then hang on a second. Oh yeah, this was then on Tuesday. I noticed that Prime had got the series 1923, which is the Yellowstone prequel. There's Yellowstone now, and then they did one of 1923. How the John Dutton started. Oh, never mind. I knew I had to watch it. I've been waiting patiently for that to come onto Prime because it was on Paramount or whatever, and I didn't want to buy that subscription. So it was there, and then that was a very bad thing because I watched one episode, and I could not turn it off because it's very well written and has a lot of really great cliffhangers. But the problem was it also had Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. And I don't know about you, but with a lineup like that, what's not to watch? And they did not disappoint me. And that was great until it came to the end of the first episode. And then, of course, I had to watch the second and then the third. And then I think around about the fifth, I went to bed. I watched it all night, people. I thought it was 6 episodes. No, I forgot to check that. It actually ended up 10, I think. And I watched the whole thing all night. And it is then that I was very grateful that I was retired and that really I worked a lifetime for the right to be able to binge watch through the night if I wanted to. How many of you agree with me? That is my right. Yeah, I agree. Jodie's saying I'll watch anything with Helen Mirren in it. Yeah, it's like Reds 1 and 2, right? It's just like it doesn't matter what she does. And I want to tell you something. She was so good in this, and Harrison Ford was unbelievable. He hasn't lost any of his acting skill at all. But it was well worth. Obviously, I didn't stay up all night because it was boring. So then, Lordy, that was Tuesday. And that was actually not too bad until the next day. I noticed that they had also made a prequel to the prequel, and that was 1886. And that, I thought, I don't even want to look. So I didn't look until yesterday to see if that was also on Prime, and it was. And this time it had Tim McGraw and Faith Hill and Sam Elliott. Now, I don't know about you, but Sam Elliott, I will watch almost anything he's in. He's the very craggy guy with the very big mustache. You know the guy? You know him if you saw him. So, it was just like, so then, of course, I thought I'm going to start watching earlier this time. So you'll be pleased to know I did get to bed by about 3. But it was really great. So if you haven't seen, if you liked Yellowstone, and by the way, I'm waiting for season 5 to come onto free streaming as well. A streaming thing that I've got, channel that I've got. But, I would actually recommend you start with the 1886 and then go to the 1923. But you can actually watch them the wrong way around, which I did, because they're actually a century apart in terms of their, I think Sam Elliott is very handsome as well, Kerry. Even as old as he was in this series, it was just like he's still got so much charisma, and the voice as well. It's got that deep voice, and I love those baritone voices. So what I have to give full credit to Taylor Sheridan, I think, that wrote these. He write a good cowboy story. It's been a long time since cowboy stories were with the Vogue, right? And if you think about it, Clint Eastwood, the good, the bad, and the ugly. He had already done Wagon Train way back in the 60s, I think. Wagon Train, Jody, could you check that? Wagon Train, he was like a minor player in Wagon Train, but he was so good looking that we all wanted to watch him. And then he did a couple of other small things, and then he did The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. He went to Italy to do a spaghetti western, and everybody laughed at him because he obviously was so short of money that he needed to go to Italy to do a spaghetti western. And the funny thing was, of course, that was the groundbreaking stuff. And then from there on, he just made an awful lot of money. So, yeah, Kerry's saying about Sam Elliott, I think it's the facial hair and the voice that do it. Yeah, he's got hair like mine, right? Like it keeps on growing, sort of thing. Yeah, he's got a full head of hair. And touch wood, I'm so grateful. You cannot imagine how grateful I was when that post-cancer drug that they gave me affected so many things, but thank goodness it didn't affect my hair. It was just like, wow, I was so scared of that. So, so then we got to Tuesday, and then I realized the prequels. So I enjoyed that. Really recommend them both if you like cowboy stuff. But cowboys, it's never all good stuff, right? It's not a comedy. Then I decided I was going to put some of you might relate to this one. Then I decided I was going to do a quick load of laundry. Okay, so here we go. Hang on a second. Taylor Sheridan, the 51-year-old with a 9-figure overall deal, has demonstrated a knack for reviving yesteryear genres, luring middle American viewers and making hardscrabble heroes feel fresh again. You know something? You're so right. Okay, so Sam Elliott is 79 years old. And how old is Harrison Ford? Jeannie, thank you for that information, by the way. Yeah, it was called Wagon Train. It was in the 50s or late 50s, I think, early 60s. And the lead was a guy whose name began with W. Warren, somebody or other. Harrison Ford is 81. Okay, so you understand these two iconic actors, Sam Elliott and Harrison Ford, I bet you they never dreamt that in their 80s they'd be playing lead roles. All right? So there's a lot to be said, all right, for these guys, that their skills are so good that in their 80s they're still picking up leads in movies. And they don't need the money. Anyway, so just so you know, it's amazing if you enjoy cowboy movies. To me, I love them because so much of it's about the pioneers. And definitely 1886 was all about the pioneers, traveling across, and it was just mind-blowing. I certainly don't think I could have done it. Although almost everybody that's met me said, Sal, you would have made a great pioneer. And I think, Jody, if I may quote you, it's my Mrs. MacGyver mentality. They said, you'd be making a plan about everything. Oh, that doesn't work. Okay, let me make a plan. And then that doesn't work. Okay, let me make a plan. But it was yeah, we go. Thank you, Jody. It started in 1957. I said the late 50s, and it stopped in 1965. And I said, or early 60s. How about that? I guess I'm not senile after all. So anyway, I went to, gotta go back there now. Think I can find it? So I went to put a load of laundry in. How many of you have done this one? All right. You go open up the dryer and it's already full of stuff. Yeah, insane. So, it was just like, really? Now I've got to take another step backwards because now I've got to empty the dryer and get that stuff put away before and then put new stuff in. I've got a new trick when I do wash, and all the washing goes on, the dry wash goes onto my bed to finish, basically drying a bit more, and then I hang it all up for a day in my shower. Anything that's wearable, I hang it up, and the other stuff I just leave on my bed for the day, and turn it over each time I go to the washroom, just so that I make sure that stuff is aired as well. But it's just like, I don't know about you, but the stuff that was in there, it's creased by now, right? So now I had to go and get a wet face cloth and throw it in and put it for another small cycle so that, I could get the creases out of it before I could get it out of there and then put my new wash in there. It was like, really? Now then, I want to know if I am the only one, and I'm pretty sure I am not, that goes to check something on the internet. Something that is going to help me solve this problem I've got at the moment, and I quickly type in something, and then something catches my eye, and I watch that. And then something else catches my eye, and I watch that. And the next thing I know, it's an hour later, and I still haven't got what I went there to get. Do any of you relate to this? I get caught up in that short video loop, right? Which I know is what it's all about, but it's just like, it's such a waste of time. And I am trying to control myself and go, no wonder you can't get things done. You spend a couple of hours a day getting caught up in this stupid loop of stuff. But I don't think I'm alone. I think it's... So what hope have our teenagers got? I'd like to suggest we've got quite good self-control. Yeah, Jody's saying, I was watching short video of musicians from the 80s, and I couldn't stop. No, it's now what I have done, I do find it useful, however, for example, when I went to get on my air glider this week, for those of you, I decided, no, I need to do 10 minutes on my air glider. And what I did is I put the hits of the 60s and 70s, I think, on there, because I know all the words to those. So, it's just like, and it makes the air glider time go away much faster. So I was much happier with that. So I want you to be more aware of how much time you waste, right? Getting caught on the loop, and therefore you're going to run out of time in the day. You're not going to get things done. Hi there, Kimmy. Good to see you. And so I've given you a few of the ways in which I went backwards this week. But I also did go forwards. So first of all, I wanted to give you some feedback. You've probably seen this. How many of you like the new version of I call this the Hearts and Stars, but I did this one in blue. Try and get it away from the light. So that you can see, I don't know if you can see all the layers or not, but just so you know, that's like 10 different layers of paper in there. And it's just magnificent. And what when we were talking about it last week, I think it's stunning as well, right? Somebody said, try it with a different color background. So I really like that. Really like that. And then I did one in pink because I know I have people I like pink. I haven't framed it yet, but that's what it will look like. Can you see all the layers? Yeah, you can see all the layers now. So that's going to be pretty, right? Pretty in pink. And then, remember, I think it was Jonas who said, reverse it out so that instead of pink on the background, that pink is the other layer. So here we go with the same layers, but this time with pink. So if I can hold them both up, unframed, as they are. Okay. So what do you think? Which one do you like best? Interesting, huh? I think they're both stunning. You know, it's just like, again, I think it's a personal preference. I haven't done the rainbow one yet, but I will do one. That was another suggestion. So, but I have to admit, is the pink layers. So you like this one? Is that right, Jody? Yeah. Now, what I've also found out, it's amazing, you know, how I've always said the first one is the one where you find out how do you make it. Then you start perfecting it. You know, every one you make after that, it gets faster because you're perfecting it. But this one isn't perfect. But I want to tell you something. It's pretty down near. When I made this one, yeah, it's my favorite of all of them, even over the red. Let's get the red so people who haven't seen them can see that as well. Okay, so, and I had to do it in both frames because, so this is it with a black frame. This was my favorite till I did the blue. And this is it in a white frame. Yeah. Now, interesting. All right, so Jeannie says white hearts on pink. All right, so you see, I know I've got to do both because some people, and then it'll change again with the frames, all right? So, I need to take a trip to the dollar store, get some more frames, and definitely do a couple more with different dark backgrounds. I was thinking deep purple because a lot of people like purple. But the blue one, when I finished it, I said, that's not going anywhere. It's staying in my house. Mm-hmm. The blue one looks, you know, Jody, I was thinking a teal one for your sister-in-law. You know, I'm going, oh yeah, I know what colors to do now. So, you know, we got her Christmas present ready. So, but how many of you can see that what I'm going to offer is this in whatever color scheme you want, but you get a choice to actually have it arrive like this. All right? To arrive like this without the frame, so you can drop it into a frame of your choice, because the amount of money it costs to ship it successfully with the frame, with glass and everything, you could save that money, and I could put this between two pieces of cardboard and send it to you without that cost. Do you understand what I'm saying? And all you need to do is go to the dollar store and pick up a frame that you like. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and I'm working on that at the moment, which of course was another step backwards. You remember? Went to go to the website to do something there, and then ended up, and another step backwards because it didn't want to let me in because I changed my credit card for some reason. Why that affected it, I don't know. So Then also this week, I'm trying to eat more healthily. I know you know that. By the way, I did the experiment on fake chicken. I made it, and it tasted great. But really, as I said, these fake meats and so forth are really just vegetarian. When I say vegetarian, what you're basically doing is eating spiced vegetables. But this one, when I made the fake chicken, got some left over. I made it into sausages, and I'll be eating those later. The first that I had, I dunked them in plum sauce. I like plum sauce and mayo mixed. Yeah, like half and half. So good. Um, all right, Jody's saying, I'm trying to be as disciplined as you are. Your meals are so colorful and nutritious. Well, I keep telling myself, Jody, that I can eat these things because they're basically vegetables. But I'm not so sure. I certainly know that I had to up my water intake, and then also I need to increase my exercise. I'm not going to lose weight just by hoping. I've got to, I've got, you know, weight starts in the kitchen, so I got to be smart. So anyway, what I was telling you was I decided I'd make a smoothie, right, which is a good idea. So, so again, using up lots of fruit that I had left over, and I didn't want to throw it away, so I made a really nice smoothie with grapes and a pear and an orange and yogurt. Yeah, but I forgot to add in the avocado. I've got a saying that Jody taught me way back when I found out I was pre-diabetic. She said, if it's sweet, eat meat. In other words, protein. So if you eat something sweet, you need to balance it with protein. Otherwise, your sugar will spike. So I forgot to add the avo. And so I ended up with my blood sugar. I could feel it. Suddenly I'm feeling really quite weird. I better just check my blood sugar and or my blood pressure. And I took my blood sugar and I went, oh yeah, that would be why I'm feeling very strange. And I drink lots of water and protein for the next few hours. Yes, Jody's saying that what I did, I've got this little. If you've got an air fryer, this is the most useful little gizmo. All right. I use this all the time. It's my little cast iron thing. Isn't that cute? And what I did is in the air fryer, I chopped up a whole lot of, I had some leftover potato, half a potato. I eat one potato a week. I allow myself one potato a week. So it was half a potato, green peppers, yellow peppers, red pepper. No, not green, yellow, orange, and red peppers. And then celery, leeks, you name it, all chopped up. And then what I did was I cooked those in the air fryer. It's very difficult to do that backwards. In the air fryer the day before, and just so that it was mostly cooked. And then the next morning, what I did was I heated that up while I was making a couple of fried eggs. But what I did was I heated it up at fairly high rates so that all the tops would be crispy, right? And so you got crunchy stuff. We like that. And what I did is I put the 2 fried eggs on top. I cannot tell you the last time I had a fry up, but it was so good. I really, really enjoyed it. So Although I didn't feel like I achieved a lot this week, I think I actually probably achieved more than I think. How many of you remember last week I had this, what was left of a cabbage? And I thought, I wonder if it's dead or whether it would still grow. You know me, I always asking these questions. Well, I thought I'd show you. First of all, have you noticed it's got its color back? And secondly, in 1 week, it grew roots this long just by putting it in water. Now, the trick is to just put the water up to the base of it and keep it there for a couple of days, keep topping it up until the roots start to grow. Once the roots start to grow, it's okay for the water to drop down a bit. And it's a good idea because you don't want that center core to just go rotten with water. So now you will notice I've got it a little bit lower, encouraging the roots to grow down. Isn't that amazing? Now, Jeannie's saying eggs fill me up in the morning. Yes, eggs are a really good source of protein. And I think a very good bang for your buck as well. You know, whether you keep, half a dozen boiled eggs in your fridge just as a go-to thing. Jody, I also wanted to mention I ordered a basil plant from my supermarket. Looks really good, right? However, what I also did is I ordered up, just to see, I ordered up for the same price one of these, of basil. And I wanted to see, would it grow? You know, so I immediately put it in water, but it looks pretty pathetic. I'm not worried because I will just dry it and pulverize it, and add it to soups and stuff. But then I did the same with sage. Now, the sage, I think, might just work. All right. And we'll see whether this starts to grow roots by next week. But what I wanted to show you was that these cost the same as the plant. So why not buy the plant? All right. And you're going, oh, well, I'll kill it. Yes, all of us. But this, by the way, is the same price as a bottle of basil, dried basil. So I really encourage you to start buying. Yeah, Jody's saying we were buying that small amount of basil. Absolute waste. It really is when you can buy the whole plant for that. And not only that, there is something, I think you'll agree, for those of you who keep this. By the way, I also ordered a sage plant, but it had run out by the time. So I'll keep ordering it until I get one. But, there's something about being able to go there and just pluck off a couple of leaves and throw them into what? Into a stew, into a casserole, into a smoothie. All right? Really good, really tasty greens, And my favorite salad has to be the caprese, with smoked cheese and basil and tomato. So I'm really looking forward to that. So if you can't grow anything else, please grow some herbs. The other thing is, I was showing you this last week. All right. Um, this is just a carrot. Look at the roots that it's the bottom of a carrot. It took about, when did I put these? This one I put in March. All right, just so you can see. And funny enough, it didn't grow as many roots as this one. That doesn't matter. The thing is, it's not going to grow a new carrot. What it does, it's going to give you lots of greenery to add to a salad, or to decorate something. All right. And so what I do is every now and then, you can probably see I've chopped this one right down, and these are two new ones coming up. So it's just about, it all adds more nutrients and all goodness, right? Now, the other thing is, I haven't got them inside, but when I finished with a, hang on. I'm busy growing my own lettuce at the moment, so this will no longer be on my shopping list in a few weeks. But when I cut off the bottom of my romaine lettuce like this, I then put it in water. And I know that you guys have been watching me do this, but I wanted to show you. This one hasn't started growing leaves up yet, but it will. But isn't that amazing? And I put this in water. This has just got a little bit of water at the bottom. April the 7th. All right. So I already have one outside. Okay, this one doesn't look great because I just harvested it. All right. But you understand, this was the same as that. And now I'm already harvesting from it. And these leaves are so fresh, and there's something about going out and picking a couple of leaves, and I just add them to my salads now. All right. So again, it doesn't matter. I don't just do it to save money, although that is an added benefit, but I do it because all the time I'm thinking, how do I increase the nutrients that I'm eating? And for those of you who know that, the moment you buy a new car, it's sort of depreciated as you leave the car lot. The moment you buy a new computer, it's state of the art rather than state of the art, right, as it leaves the shop. So the thing is, by the time we get our vegetables, how old are they? All right. Whereas eating it absolutely fresh when it's growing. I know, even Benji, it amazed me. When Benji was last here, he said, I followed your lead, Sal. And I said, what's that? He said, I have started keeping my spring onions and regrowing them. And I said, oh, there you go. Jody, did we ever find out about the nutrients? If we didn't, it's okay. You remember we were going to look into that, the difference between hydroponically grown stuff and stuff grown in. You're working on it. Okay, fine. But it's just like, it's a really interesting thing, and that's why some of my lettuces, my new lettuces that I'm growing, I'm gonna I put some in the ground, and they're not doing well. All right, even though I put cloches over them and everything, they're not doing well. What I am thinking, this is, I'm going to end up with, for the time being, I'm thinking I will probably need about 12 different lettuces to be self-sufficient, but I'm not sure. Just so I can pluck a couple of leaves there. The batch I'm growing at the moment, and I have a lot of them, is red lettuce, all right, to go with the romaine. So we will see. Oh, Interesting. Jody's saying, so far I've learned that the hydroponic can be more nutritious. I said that to Benji. I said, you actually have special tablets that you put in the water that feeds it the nutrients. So I said, I cannot believe it's less than. And he seemed to think that the bug material in earth would make it more nutritious. And I said, hey, yeah. So let's find out, and then I'll share it with him. But I'm pretty impressed with this. What about you guys? What do you think? And the worst that can happen is it doesn't grow and you end up letting it die and then dehydrate it. And by the way, you don't need a dehydrator. A sunny windowsill. I keep remembering in the old days when we used to press flowers, in a phone book. So just put some paper towels at both sides, weigh it down, leave it in a sunny window. And, in a week it'll be. What did I do recently? Oh, yeah, there we go. Last week, I bought fresh portobello mushrooms, all right? And I cut them up between paper towels. And then after a week, it must have been 2 weeks ago I bought them, all right? And now I waited until I thought they were properly dehydrated. And then I don't take that risk. Put them in a brown paper bag and leave them for another week. And there we go. So what would you add these to? Mushroom omelette? I'm thinking stews and whatever. All right. I already have some that I've done. So and the reason I recommend it is because you want to check the price of dehydrated mushrooms. That will inspire you to dehydrate your own. And the reason I buy dehydrated mushrooms is because I don't use mushrooms a lot. All right. It's not like an everyday thing for me. Okay. But look how many mushrooms I've got now. I'm very excited about that. Now, again, I'm not going to presume. Okay, what I'm going to do, because I never throw those away either, is to find. Yep. Okay. Never throw these little gel packs away. Whatever you have, anything that contains one of these, keep them. Okay, so portobello mushrooms, Jody is saying about $35 a pound for dehydrated portobello mushrooms. I think I paid about $8 for the mushrooms. So, no dehydrator. I put them in the toaster oven between 2 bits of paper towel, very low heat, like 100 Fahrenheit. All right, very low heat, and left them there for about 3 hours. And then I put them in a sunny window. In other words, what you're doing is getting most of the moisture out in the first thing. And they're so nutritious. Exactly. So, and now, why not just buy fresh? Because this will last me a year, probably. Right? Because I'll only pull out a couple and put them in a stew. Or what I'm going to have tonight is a hunter steak. Do you know what a hunter steak is? A hunter steak is a steak with a gravy that is made with mushrooms and red wine. Anybody hungry? So, it's really interesting. Um, when you start doing this, how do I make this more nutritious? And what I want to do is, oh, by the way, we're into week 17 of the year. I still have not bought any meat. Now we're discounting the meat that Benji brought to me because I didn't buy it, but I'm just eating it, right? And what I found though, and this is really interesting to me, is my freezers are still full. They have a little bit more space in them, but I'm filling it up with different things for some reason. So I've got to be really careful. I keep reminding myself, you're trying to empty these things, not keep them full. But boy, it's already April, and there's still the big freezer that I can put a couple of bodies in. That one is still full to the gills. This one I've managed to get through a lot. I've thrown out some stuff, and basically only allowing myself. Uh, it's a bit like downsizing. The trick is, if you want to downsize a drawer, just open a drawer and say, I only want to put half of it back. you know, and it's like, what do you want to do with the other half? Well, the interesting, oh, I didn't just do that. I did another thing as well. All right. My Lazy Susan in corner there that keeps my plastics, I actually cleaned out the bottom of it. Amazing the things that are dropped down there, and it was just like, so I had quite a lot of spring cleaning. Did any of you do any spring cleaning? But what I'm saying is, remember, the trick is take everything out, all right, and then go get it into purge it first of all. What don't I need to go back in there? And what I'm trying to remind myself is, do I use this every week? In which case, it needs to be at the high level. Do I use it once a month? In which case, it goes in the low level. And if I don't use it once a month, why is it in my kitchen? All right. So when I was cleaning out the bottom of the corner cabinet there, I took out some muffin pans that I hadn't used, and I'm still going to keep them in case. But where they've gone is they've gone into the. I've got a couple of cubies that are kitchen. It's got a big roasting pan in there. It's got my pizza pan in there and stuff that I don't use. Okay, so Jeannie's saying, I've been cleaning my office, bought two. Put a two. You're going to have to help me with that. And you put big items on it. I want to show you what else I've been doing. So one of the things, Jeannie, can you retype that bought a two something? Just so that I can make sense of that. At the moment, I can't make sense of it. My fault probably, but it just doesn't make sense to me at the moment. So it's difficult to do it. So what I've been trying to do is to not throw away all the cardboard boxes that come in and find better use for them, all right, in organizing. So this is one box that came in and I just covered it, right? Didn't do a magnificent job on it, but it's like, doesn't that look like a nice catch-all, right? And in case you don't know, you can buy rolls of colored and textured craft paper. This is a blue one with a very fine texture on it. This green one has a different sort of texture on it. Okay. That makes more sense. Thank you, Jeannie. All right. So Jeannie bought um, 2 shelving units and now is putting the big items on there. Yes. Very good idea. I am moving, for example, I have a salad spinner. I don't keep it in my kitchen. I keep it in my dining room. All right. It's just like I only use it, a couple of times a month. So I keep it fairly close. Like it's in my dining room, so it's 3 steps away. And my baking trays and stuff are in the back room. I still got some. I can still use them. But the question is, how many times do I use it in a year for it to be entitled to take up space? In this house at the moment, you can stay there for as long as you want to, because I've also got the shed. But I am trying to teach myself to literally look at a drawer and go, how many of these things have I used this week? All right. And this top drawer is it's small stuff that I use every day. Things like mason jars, the lids are all here. I've got, tomato plant ties. I keep all of those. Plastic, rubber bands, markers, things I use every week go in that drawer. In here, I keep my small plastic bags, just so you know. It's a really good idea, I found. I've got these sort of smaller plastic bags, the snack size ones. And what I do, I wash mine and reuse them. Right? I put them in the dishwasher. But I found they make an absolute mess unless you put them in a one baggie size up and contain them like this. I don't know if you noticed, but I automatically take the air out of them, and then there you go. And I've also got my silicone bags that I use a lot, silicone covers that I use a lot. That's all in there. So I'm looking all the time. How often do I use this? Is it in the right place? I'm pretty sure that if I emptied out my bottom drawer there are an awful lot of things that could go out of the kitchen. Right? So what I'm trying to learn is, what do I absolutely have to have? That's what I'm trying to learn, because when I downsize next, it's going to be in half the size again, and in which case I need to lose 2 rooms. Yeah, I have to sort of think like I need to be able to mentally clean out everything that is in my bedroom and put it somewhere else in my mind, and everything in the studio, that's my craft storage stuff, and put it in this end of the house, all right? And if I can do that, then I have downsized enough. So what I encourage you to do is to keep doing it. I don't care if it's half a drawer. If you don't keep doing it, I always remember Jenny Jen, who did this throughout her house. Every single thing in her house, she did it every year. I've watched Judy do that, by the way. I was absolutely amazed. Jody's saying, I've been saving and reusing all the plastic bags from the Meals on Wheels deliveries. They have to put every item in a separate bag, like a slice of bread or an English muffin. It's amazing how those things add up. Do you know, I've been keeping all the wrapping, the padding stuff, the air pillows and the stuff. I keep that so that if I have to bail anything, all right, I've got plenty of it. Why? Because I keep it. Again, I try to limit how much I can keep. So I got 1 cardboard box. 2 cardboard boxes. And when they're full, that's it, until I've used some up, and then I can start hucking stuff back in there. So, the other thing is, How many times do you get a delivery from Amazon or whoever, and it's got this paper, craft paper in it? You know, normally they just sort of go clunk, clunk, clunk. It does absolutely no good because it's not enough of it in there. But anyway, I go, thank you very much. Why? I keep these and I fold them into this sort of shape, and then I use them at the bottom of my kitchen scraps thing. See it? So, you look at it and go, if we get into this reuse stuff a bit more, you'll be amazed. I am not joking. I am pretty sure I am still using plastic bags that I bought 5 years ago. I buy good ones. What about you? All right. I buy them with something that's easy to open. And then when I buy silicone bags, which I do use a lot, I buy these ones with a ring on them, which if you've got arthritis is mind-blowingly helpful. Okay. Jody's saying, I recently received a birthday gift from Nordstrom, and the box had an obnoxious amount of craft paper type padding. Yes. I go, oh, thank you very much. So I use these a lot. I also use this type, okay, onions. So why? Use it, put it in the dishwasher, reuse it. But all my pitas, when I make pita bread, they all go into one of these and they freeze like this. And then it's great because they're so easy to get out of the package frozen, right? They come straight out, right? And there's no residue on there. They just beautifully freeze. I can rinse off this and fry it, and it can go back and ready to use again. But this is like mind-blowingly useful, right? And then I just put the frozen pizza in at 385 for 15 minutes, and it's done. And sometimes I don't want a pita. Sometimes I want a pizza. Do the same thing, right? I just put it in for enough so that it just starts to cook nicely, and then I will load it up and then finish it. So let's keep doing this. I hope it's been of some help to you, some benefit. I hope that you could relate to this business about going backwards rather than forwards. And what I realized by the end of the week was there must be a reason why I am taking these steps backwards. And then I remember my favorite quote, which is smile, breathe, and go slowly. And I'm going, oh yeah, I went slowly. And it isn't that I didn't get things done. It just didn't feel like I got things done. All right, Jody's saying, so have you thought about the amount of preservatives you have avoided by making your own bread? I have the pandemic to thank for that, because that's when I seriously started learning how to make sourdough, for example. And, now I have this incredible, multigrain that I can throw together without even thinking. And it is so nutritious. Everybody says it's the best tasting bread they've ever tasted. And I can make it into a loaf. I wouldn't say I've perfected it. I think you'll talk to anybody who bakes bread. You never perfect it. because I'm always hucking something different into it. This week I'll throw some butter in it. Next week I'll throw some honey in it. What did I put in the other day? I think I put some corn flour in. Just why not? And then I always put in chia, flax, and quinoa. All right, so all my bread has white flour, white flour, whole wheat, rye, and then chia, flax, and quinoa. So if you got to eat bread, make it tasty. And somebody said to me when they saw where I'd made it once, and they actually saw that, and they said, "Oh, you didn't put any salt in it." I go, "No, you're right. Why would I boost my blood pressure when I don't need to?" The same thing is I don't put salt in my butter, and I've been making my own butter for the longest time as well. Yeah, it really is incredibly easy. And what I noticed, Jody, what I noticed, if you do it regularly, you start to get really smart. I've got a black Sharpie line here. This is called that much water. And into the water, I put the yeast, the skim milk powder, and a little bit of sugar. Okay, but that's how much water. And then I blips that up. I then fill it up with the flours. Oh, and what else? I forgot oats. I also put oats in mine. So, and then I just, know I'm going to I start with about 3 cups of white flour, and then I add, about half a cup of all the others. But then the oats are the last one. When I've nearly got it right, I put in a handful of oats so that the oats don't get too absorbed. And I know, I just keep pulsing it. I know it's got enough when the dough ball cleans the inside of the bowl. Does that make sense? If it's too wet, this will all be wet on the you can't see through it. When the ball starts to form, it actually pulls the whole dough ball with it, and I go, okay, that's ready. So I don't have to measure. I just keep hacking a little bit more in until it does what I want it to do, and I go, okay, it's ready. It's amazingly simple. All right. Oh, that's how you do pizza dough as well. Yes, it's just like I cannot imagine paying money to to buy these things now. And the other thing is, I realized that I listened to the thing about put those particular flours into the freezer. I'm going to get them out of the freezer and use them. You remember we bought this fancy flour for flaxseed flour and whatever. I'm going to pull them out and use them rather than have them in my freezer because, it's taking up too much room in my freezer. I would have more room. And I'm trying to get room in my freezer. Okay, it's getting warm in here now. We're on our way to summer. I love it. It's 75 in here. Isn't that amazing? Any minute now, it's going to get too hot and I have to get the air conditioner on, but never mind. All right, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this. Ultimately, it doesn't matter whether you go forwards or backwards. You need to live your life as well as you can. Do you understand that? One of the reasons that you should never overload your to-do list is you're going to have half the day going backwards instead of forwards. And if you aren't planning that to happen, then you are not being realistic. Does that make sense to anybody? The reason we get so stressed out is because we forget about that. And what I wanted to say was that I've always said when I was on stage, I used to say to people when I was talking to them, stress, yeah, I got more than my fair share. What about you guys? But I used to say there's only one thing that really causes me stress. People not doing things my way. And I hope that some of you can relate to that. Or it can be things not working the way they're meant to. Which means I wasn't realistic in those days. But at least I knew that I wasn't. Um, and so I look at it and go, plan half as much. All right? Plan for half as much in a day, and you might get more achievement. Think about that. And when you're going backwards, maybe you're not. Maybe you need to spend some time re-looking at this. Maybe you were charging ahead too fast. Maybe you hadn't covered all the bases or whatever. And so think about that. Think about how you do things. And remember, we all go through the same thing. Yes, Jeannie's going off to Boston on Sunday. So she won't be here for the broadcast. But Jeannie, um, may I ask you a couple of questions on that? Okay, so and can I mention to the viewers why you're going? I didn't say it out loud when you said it before. Okay, so Jeannie is going off to Boston. She lives in Maine. She's going down to Boston to see an Auschwitz exhibit. Now, some of you are going, yuck, why would anybody want to look at that? Well, certain people will do it for the history of it. All right. Certain people they want to see it for the history. Other people will do it because of their faith. All right. I am certain a high percentage of Jewish people will go and relive that. Also, let us not forget, all right, how many millions of people were annihilated, and but not nearly as bad, Jeannie. And I don't know if you agree with me on this one, but I think we're over almost going to think about, are we going to do the same for Palestine, for the Gazians, all right, the people in the Gaza Strip, because it's close to genocide there. So to me, it's a very good time to rethink these things and to be aware of how cruel humans can be. And then I know that I understand the reason why Israel did what it did. Because you don't come into our country and just slaughter, this many of our people and take this many hostages without there being repercussions. But I am hoping that somewhere we will find some balance here. I know you've said that you cannot negotiate with people that want you dead. I thought that was an incredible quote, by the way. You cannot negotiate with people who want you dead. But we need to find a way, a path. Yes, and that's what I wanted to ask you about, Jeannie, is what was your reason, all right? So Jeannie's saying, I am going because there is so much anti-Semitism in the US at the moment. I wish to remember the history, right? I think it's really, really my friend Marnie is very big. Is very big into retracing World War battles. And she has been over to Europe many times, and seen where they fought the Battle of the Somme. She has been there to see D-Day battle, place and everything. She goes there. And why? Because her granddaddy was part of those, all right? And so she has a history. I personally have always said there was part of me, I won't do it in my lifetime now, but there was part of me that wanted to go to the Deep South because I wanted to see, where Gone with the Wind happened. I wanted to see Atlanta before it burned or after it burned. I wanted to see some of the Confederate icons, if you like. And it's to me, it wasn't about being morbid. It's like it's a piece of history. So, Jeannie, I understand why you would want to go. And I understand even better the reason for wanting to go. Yeah, thanks. Kimmy's saying that she thinks she likes the white on pink. Okay, this one more than that one. But you see, different people will like different ones. And what I now realize is I need to do some choices. If you happen to be into purple, you're going to like the purple one. You know that. So Jeannie's saying, I'm appalled at the anti-Jewish propaganda and hatred at universities. All right. So I don't think forgive me on this one, Jeannie. Am I allowed to have my opinion? I guess I am. It's my channel, right? But what I don't think it's anti-Jewish. I think it is anti-genocide. All right. In other words, I don't think anybody is against the Jewish army hunting down those Hamas fighters. It's the innocents that are getting killed at huge numbers that is the issue. All right. And of course, every time that more and more innocents get killed, then the rest of the Middle East gets more and more angry. And if and as we've already seen, they will start retaliating, and we could end up with World War III. I have a blue, not a purple blue. I have a blue. And so this is like a deep midnight blue. Just so you can see the detail in it. But I'm thinking of doing a purple one. So when I've done it, I'm waiting to get some more frames, and then I can do that. All right, so Jeannie is saying, this is her opinion, she says, Jewish students feel unsafe. Yes, I completely understand why they feel unsafe. She's saying, I am wrong. The people promoting this are hating Jews. Okay. So, Jeannie, you are old enough to remember the riots at Kent University back in the 60s. I'm a great believer in let's go back and have a look at when students last up and protested in this to this degree. I think it's going to escalate, by the way. I don't think this is all. There's going to be a lot more. So my memory was, when did this last happen? When young people got this angry. And it was in the 60s. And can you remember why the Kent University riots happened? Because it was for a valid reason, and that was the Vietnam War. And so, you look at it, and whenever young people stand up and protest to this degree, the world needs to take notice. Because there's no point sitting back and going, well, they're just young people, what do they know? This is about, they are the very people that will be fighting. Think about that, right? If we have a world war, these are the people who will be fighting. Oh, your periwinkle color. Okay, I will see if I've got that sort of a color, and if so, I will see if I can rustle one up in the coming weeks. No, interesting. Jeannie's saying I'm an old hippie, Sal. Yeah, I know you are, and so am I. We did not break the law. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Nor did we hate anybody. I think they hated the government for sending young people off to Vietnam. So I'm not sure I totally agree with you, but I understand what you're saying. All right. And I also would question that whether we broke the law, young hippies. Yeah, yeah, old hippies. I would like to say we broke a lot of laws. Why? Because we actually thumbed our nose at a lot of the establishment. And that's what the hippies were known for. All right. Yeah, we worked on changing laws. Yes, we did. Right. By the way, did we break any laws when we banned the bra? Did we break any? If you look at it, you cannot protest without breaking a few laws here and there. All right, you can do it as well as you believe. Just. I'm not saying that you're wrong, Jeannie. I'm just saying be careful about those global statements that we didn't break any laws. I think the hippies broke a lot of laws, and I'm glad that we did, because we also were a generation of change, right? Our generation, without a doubt, created incredible change in our time. We are now watching it go backwards, but we really fought for a lot of good things in our time. So so to me, this is like the biggest thing that we need to do is to stay, if we possibly can, in the center of this, and just go. Hating one another is not the answer, but we will always. And so Jean is saying Holocaust conditions have reached our own country. I want to tell you, what about all the, I'm thinking about all the Japanese that Canadians interred at the World War. It wasn't just the Jews that suffered like this, right? We need to know this um, hatred of different cultures is not just. Yeah, you said that before, Jeannie. We know that the Jewish students are afraid, and that's why the universities are telling them to go home. All right, to get out of the way. Don't be there to help promote it. Just they're trying to calm it down and get everybody out of the way and safe, so that they can deal with it. I also think that it's going to be. I probably get a lot worse before it gets better. Is my feeling. And the reason I say that is if we go back to Kent University, what was it that stopped the Kent University riot? And I'm afraid it was a couple of people had to die. All right, and it was unfortunate, but a couple of people, the police had to go in, and a couple of people died, and then it sort of woke everybody up that this maybe isn't. Yeah, we've made our point. So I just believe that we need to listen to both sides of the story, and we need to know that there are, you know, innocent Palestinians getting killed all the time because of this. I agree with you. I quite agree with you. All right, so Jeannie's saying when young people are wearing Hamas headdresses and shout about destroying Israel, this is wrong. I don't think any of us would disagree with you. All right, but that requires some control from the university. In other words, you don't get to wear these, right? And if you wear them, you're off campus. Goodbye. Right? I think you're going to see a lot more university um, guidelines coming in now. All right, they will do everything. They got to respect both sides, but this is like you don't get to do that. The same way, Jeannie, I always said, when I came onto YouTube and somebody threatened my life, I was horrified. My life was being threatened because they didn't like what I said, right? And what I did was I didn't take that lightly. I just said, I've taken a screenshot. I am taking this screenshot to the police because I can show that you threatened my life. You see, until we take action to minimize the room for conflict, and I have done it. Every single hater that got really nasty with me, I would just say, I don't know where you live. I live in Canada, and we have an anti-hate legislation in Canada. What you are doing is against our law. So you can carry on if you want to, but I'm taking screenshots, and if you continue, I will take that documentation to the police, and they will hunt you down. By the way, I wasn't even sure whether they would hunt me down and hunt the person down until some months later, that first person that I reported, she got back to me and very angry and said, "How could you sick the police onto me?" I said, "You threatened my life. I'm entitled." So here we go. This is like, let's try and respect both sides of it. Jeannie, I am certain this will be a bittersweet journey for you because it's like a double whammy, right? One is the Auschwitz side, and then also you're reliving what is happening in the US right now. So, my heart goes out to you, and I send you a big hug because it must be so difficult. But I also look forward to dispatches from the front. In other words, when you come back, I'd be very interested to hear your views on what you saw, what was there, and really how it affected you. I think we'd all be interested in that. So I wish you a very pleasant trip. Um, no, and that's right. Jeannie's saying I started my life as a Jew. I will never forget. Absolutely. We wouldn't want you to, Jeannie. We wouldn't want you to. All right. You are who you are. And one of the things I have always respected about you is that whenever we disagree on stuff at any way, right, that you allow me to have my say, and hopefully you feel the same way. And we agree to disagree on some stuff. And that to me is called reality. All right. I don't hate you because you don't think the same way as I do. Right. Jeannie says, I respect you. I know I respect you too. It's like, I don't have to hate you because you have a different viewpoint. I don't have to want you dead because you have a different viewpoint, right? I think we need a lot more emotional intelligence in the world, quite honestly. I don't know how we get it. And I hate to say this, Jeannie, but I don't think, our generation will necessarily see the upshot of this. I think it might be the next generation that does. So I'm a bit of a coward. I'm hoping it's not in my generation, but I could be wrong. On that note, thank you so much for being here with me. Remember, if you're going backwards, look for the reason why this is a good thing. And if you are going forwards too fast, don't be surprised if the universe pulls you back a bit. Jody, I always think about all those health issues that you have been compounded with. And I wonder how many times you thought, in the old days, that you thought, oh, I must get farther ahead, do this, faster and faster and faster. And then eventually the universe said, no, I'm going to make you slow down. I'm going to take away your ability to move that fast. Yeah, absolutely on the hamster wheel. And you said earlier today, Jody, when we were talking before the broadcast, you were saying, how did we ever do all of these things and go to work 8 hours a day? I think that is the most incredibly true question. I ask it a lot. Yeah. But then I remember I do a lot, right? So Let's take it easy. My sister was complaining about high blood pressure, and I said, are you doing the things that will drop it down? Are you hydrating enough to get rid of the sodium in your body? Are you doing mild exercise? Are you making sure you're not eating any more sodium than you need to? And I said, just think about it. And then she's got 18 people coming for play mahjong. It's just like, and duh, she's in her 80s, for goodness sake. But it's her life. But don't do that to yourself and then say, oh, I can't understand why my blood pressure is up. Jody, you and I laugh a lot, right? Because we know that we're allowed to live, and we know that I can spike my blood sugar. Why? Because I know how to get it back down again. Right? I learned that lesson from you. How to get it back down. And within 12 hours, I can get it back down again. I just have to drink enough water, eat lots of protein, and just watch what I'm eating for a couple of days, and I'll be right back where I'm meant to be. But it was so good, that smoothie. This is DearMamaSal saying, we will see you on Sunday. If you have a particular topic you'd like me to speak about, make sure you let me know. Jody says, we laugh every day. It's such a blessing. I think to be able to live each day as best we can is very important. Very important indeed. And that's Kimmy's saying we're not going to do much gardening this year because it's still too cold. I want to tell you, we've got sort of waves of weather. We got spring weather for a few days, then it dropped down back into the low 50s, even into the high 40s, I think, for a couple of days. So we're not quite into spring yet, but we're getting there. And my tulips are up, and everything's looking very spring-like, and I love it. This is DearMamaSal saying, we'll see you on Sunday. Jody, thanks for the help. Jeannie, thank you for your courage. And we look forward to hearing all about it when we next meet. This is DearMamaSal saying, bye-bye for now.